We're recording. All right, everybody, welcome to week 25 through 27, somewhere in there of the Master Chatter. We have two guests with us this week. We'll start in youngest to oldest. We have Danya Armstrong at a Capital CrossFit in Alexandria, Virginia. She was the #1 qualifier in the women 40 to 44 in Legends this year. Really fantastic performance at all top 10s, except for workout 20.2. Team regional athlete 2018, participated in the Asia Championships as a master in Manila in 2017, did the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Championship in 2019 and Wadapalooza in 2020. So she has been all around the world and participated at many different levels there. And then out of the 45 to 49 division, we have Shannon Schleifer out of Outcast CrossFit, which is in the Vegas area. Also first in her division, all top 10 finishes. Her worst finish in the Legends qualifier was 9th, again on 20.2. CrossFit Games athlete in 2018, took 6th place. Granite Games podium in 2017. And really, since 2018, she's been a little bit off the radar, been recovering from a shoulder injury. So Legends is her first foray back into individual competition. With us, as always, Jen Dieter, Benji Bronk, Mike Kern, and our fearless leader, Justin LaSalle. Take it away.
Hey, guys. Bob kind of said it before we started, we're pretty informal and we like to bust a lot of chops and have some fun, but I think how we always start the show is something that, we want to know about you guys, because, we see the names, we put a face to the names and a story, so to speak, and we always think that the master community is undercovered. Okay. All right. And I think it's mainly because no one knows who we are, no one knows our stories, and so we're going to we want to hear your story real quick, Danya, because we were given specific instructions on how to say your name, I'm going to let you go first. All right. Give us your quick story about how you got started and when you started to make that kind of move to make it more competitive, really.
Yeah, sure. So I started CrossFitting in 2008 when I had moved up here to Northern Virginia. I'm originally from Canada. And it was actually my husband, who's in the military, he's active duty. We lived in an apartment right below us was a CrossFit gym. And he kind of was like, hey, you should try this. You'd probably like it. And I was like, okay. And I went in there and literally got hooked. I grew up a competitive dancer, so I was used to competing in dance competitions my whole life and traveled, to the U.S. to do dance competitions and jazz, tap, ballet. And so when I found CrossFit, it was like a new way of kind of challenging myself again, just like I would as a dancer. And so I just kind of really fell in love with the sport, and I still love it. I mean, I've been doing it 12 years, and I always was kind of competitive right from the get-go. I would do, out here in Northern Virginia, we have, they're now 12 laborers, but before they would do the hopper out in Baltimore, and we would go do that, every year. And then I competed in sectionals back in 2010 as an individual, then went to regionals in, I think it was Ohio, Pennsylvania as an individual. So, I mean, within a couple of years of starting CrossFit, I started competing, a year or two into it, and just kind of really loved the energy of competition and, all the great things that come with it, but then all the not great things sometimes that come with it when your weaknesses are exposed. And I've just continued to keep training, and now being a master, it's kind of, a whole other level of competition and just a different way, which I really enjoy, and the community that it's kind of introduced me to. So that's kind of my story, I guess.
Yeah, I want to expand on one part of that. So 12 years ago, you start. Did you have any kids at that time?
Yeah, so I had two kids. I had my first in 2011, and then I had my second in 2013. So from 2011 till 2014, I kind of took a hiatus from competing in CrossFit because I sort of had my kids 21 months apart. And then coming back into it when we moved houses, I have a garage gym. So I started working out and getting back into shape in my garage gym, and then started I think I did the open in 2014. I was back doing the open that year. So from 11, 12, 13, 3 years, I guess I kind of took a break from competing.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting dilemma, not dilemma, but a situation that master athletes have. You know, you have kids, now you want to train, but obviously you have responsibilities and you know your
Mm,
husband's in the military. I would assume maybe you guys did some travel now and again. I have a brother, you know, who's a colonel in the army. So
mhm.
I know that route. He's been everywhere for 3, 4 years at a time, you know. So, you
Yeah.
know, were you doing your own programming, you know, in your garage, or were you following somebody, you know, and
Um,
were you just getting it in when you could?
so I was part of an old gym called CrossFit Old Town. The owner there was Jerry Hill. He actually won the 45 to 49 at the games. Gosh, when was it? 2012, 13. So I was working out there for a while, and so I was just following their programming. And then in 2016, we moved to Okinawa, Japan, and that's when I really started, getting hardcore main training 2 to 3 hours a day. And I was doing programming there at CrossFit Asia. And then coming back to Northern Virginia in 2018, I now work with a coach, Adam Murphy, who runs the neighborhood, and he does my individual programming and nutrition now. So I wasn't real serious about competing really until 2016. So.
Was was CrossFit Asia on one of the bases in Okinawa?
No, no. So it was off base in Okinawa. It wasn't on the base. It was near it. I mean, a lot of military. I mean, our regional team was all U.S. We didn't have any Japanese athletes on our team when we went to Sydney in 2018. But it was a pretty, we had a really strong competitive community, and training was done by Jamie Light, and it was awesome. So it was I got to just be an athlete for 2 years. I got to just train. So you don't get those opportunities very often as a mom with a husband in the military. So it really kind of, I think, helped me a lot in regards to furthering sort of my master's career, because I turned 39 out there. And that's when I made top 200 in the open, and then have continued since then. So.
Nice. Shannon, what about you? Let's hear your quick story before we kind of just you know go further, so to speak, you know. So, you know, give us your same kind of thing, you know, like basically how you started, you know, what, you know, kind of drove you in a sense, and because you're a pretty accomplished athlete, you know, I mean, with what you've accomplished so far. So, you know, let's hear the story.
So I was a gymnast as a kid, but I quit when I was 13 and just wanted to be a kid. I had been training really seriously and I was over it. And it was nice of my parents not to tell me that I was ruining my chances at a college scholarship, because I certainly wasn't going to get an academic one. And so fast forward, I moved to Vegas to go to college. I was also military. I grew up Air Force. And actually, I went to high school in Asia, in Yokota. And anyway, I got married and had 2 boys with my husband. And he's always been at the gym. He's lived at the gym since he was a little boy. I don't think a day's gone by that he didn't work out. And then my kid got a free class at a CrossFit gym, and I'd never heard of it. And when I took him to it, I was watching and I thought, oh my gosh, that looks like so much fun. So I called up my friend, and she's about 15 years older than me, but we've been hanging out for years and years, and we both knew we needed to do something. So we tried a class together, and we could not run 200 meters without stopping and taking a rest. And that was pretty sad because I was 40. Actually, I was turning 40 in a couple of months. And 6 months later, my gymnastics background, I think, helped me enough that I had a lot of skills that I developed quickly. I still didn't have any fitness really, but some local people wanted to compete all the time. And so they were, hey, we need another girl. There's never enough girls for a 4-person team. And so I did Vegas Fit Wars in December of 2013, and I was 40, and my 3 teammates were 19, 20, and 20. And I got destroyed, but I had the best time. So I just kept doing a lot of partner competitions, some more, Fit Wars type of things, kind of local but bigger, local competitions. And I went to the Granite Games as an individual master in 2014, and I couldn't even do double unders. I was way outmatched. I was a 2nd round, 3rd round invite, something like that. And I really didn't think that I would ever do individual competition, but I just kept at it and did team things whenever. And then when I turned 45, I had no expectation whatsoever that I was going to make the games. I was shocked. I could not believe I was in 21st, and I was like, wow, I'm just perfect. I'm not going to the games, but I'm right up there with those really fit ladies. Says it's such an honor. And then Cheryl Brost had injured her shoulder, and so she wasn't going to be taking her spot at the games. And so 2nd round invite, girl, right here. And what a cool experience it was. It was 2018. And so it was when we still had like media people and cameras in our faces. And yeah, we were out in the barn and we missed all the big show because we were corralled and whatnot, but it was such a cool experience. And those women were amazing. And so I'm just happy to be healed back up from my shoulder and ready to get back into it.
Yeah, I want to go back to something you said early on when you first started CrossFit, actually. Were you in like somewhat of a gym shape, like a health club, like fitness? You weren't doing anything, right?
Nothing.
All right. So, even more to the point, like you said, you struggled on the 200-meter run. You stuck with it. You kept getting after it, and you were obviously motivated, and you wanted to do these competitions with other people, or they were convincing you to do them, quite frankly, all right. But now look where you are now. Like, it works, I think one of the things that, even though we're all competitors, we are all doing CrossFit, and the model works even at any age, and I think there's a lot to be said to that, because we've all had your story, the run, or my first day they did Karen at the gym, so we all kind of have that story. I think that's that's a testament to the model in a sense. And that year in 2018, you took 6th. So yeah, so it goes to something that we talk about all the time. Here's someone, Jeb Simmons, one of our panel members, quite frankly. All right, he took 20th or 19th in that same year, 2018, and he placed 4th overall. He had a legitimate shot at the podium. So it doesn't really matter, if you're, first or like top 5 or bottom 5, quite frankly. All right, the games at the event are very different. You could be a good swimmer and all of a sudden you win the swim, so I think there's a lot of really cool things to that, and like you said, you got in like back door, but still you proved you're worthy after that, like once you were there. So congrats to that for sure. That was your first time at the games. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead,
Well,
Bob.
to your point though, Justin, it just goes back to, you know, the reason why they should, you know, extend
Expand.
the field back to 20, right? I mean, you know, if you have, you know, Shannon, who was 21st, right, coming out of the AGOQ, coming in sixth. I think Jeb, his fourth place finish was in
17.
2017.
Okay, but still.
But still, and like you take, you know, the two out of the three guys in front of him in subsequent years have been banned for PEDs.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So,
So with that said, with like being able to just kind of like get in the door, Danya, you went to Wadapalooza. Was that like, you know, outside of regionals, from at least regionals, you were on a team, but from an individual standpoint, like as a masters, did that kind of validate some stuff to you? Like after that competition, like, hey, I can hang with these people, you know, expand on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think like you said, you see the leaderboard, you know, and you see the names, but you don't know the faces. And so it was awesome. It was great to kind of put names to faces and make new friends. And there's just something really special about the masters community. Like every single female in my age group was so supportive and just so down to earth, and everybody was just happy to be there. And you know, you have good workouts and you have some that don't go the way you want to, or a judge that calls a no rep, you know, and everybody was just really there for each other. And it just, yeah, it kind of validated it. And I sort of felt like, hey, okay, I can do this. Like I can hang, you know, and it just made me want to keep doing it and keep competing after that. I mean, it was so much fun. And I think that's what you get, I took away from it, whether it was my best, you know, comp finish or not. It was just a ton of fun, and I made some really great friends, and it just encouraged me to come back and work harder in the gym and go back next year, you know. So
Yeah, the CrossFit community is huge from that. I'm sorry, Bob. Let me just say this. I'm going to forget it. Because you know, again, I think this kind of forum that we have right now is because of that. You know, all right. And Shannon, like when you have an injury, you've probably met a lot of CrossFit people throughout your competing. Don't they reach out to you and cheer you on and like and ask how you're doing and stuff? I mean, you know, Bob hurts his wrist. We're wondering what's going on. You know, so I think that's a big part of it. Talk about that. People reach out to you.
Oh yeah, for sure. So actually, even Cheryl Brost, who hurt her shoulder, and she's the reason I got to go to the CrossFit Games. She came to Vegas and came and trained with me, and we talked about rehabbing our shoulders and, you know, all of that. And then another girl that I met at the games, she's had 2 or 3 shoulder surgeries since then. So of course we're always, I guess that's kind of bad to say CrossFit is ruining all of our shoulders, but but we aren't exactly balancing or training for just, you know, fitness and life. So it's been amazing having not just the support, you know, somebody saying, hey, you know, look, I did it, I've been there, but also, hey, you should try this, or have you thought about that? And, you know, people really are that, I mean, the 3, 2, 1, go, it's all competitive. It's, you know, they're feisty women. It's awesome. But outside of that, just really supportive people, and people that, you know, I'm happy to know, even aside from fitness. So very cool.
Sorry, Bob. I didn't mean to cut in the over there.
oh man, that's cool. Shannon actually kind of tied into it a little bit too. I think that there's actually an interesting difference between multi-day comps and like single-day comps for masters athletes, right? Because if you think about all the single-day comps that we've all done over the years, you know, you go in, it's your game face is on all day. You know, there's no like downtime. There's no time to really make friends with other people and kind of share CrossFit, I guess. I found that the multi-day competitions, the Wadapaloozas, the Granite Games, right? You know, obviously the CrossFit Games, like those are really great opportunities to expand your you know, circle of masters CrossFit friends. And I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I would say to our 4 or 5 fans out there, right, that maybe they're not at a level where they're going to qualify for Granite Games or Wadapalooza or, Mid-Atlantic Championship or something like that. But there are other local multi-day comps that they should look for to kind of help expand, the Masters community. So
No doubt, Bob. Danya, just put the camera on your kid real quick. They want to get it. They want to get in, right? There you go. Hey, what's going on?
Ooh, is that a champion belt or what?
Champion Washington, the Washington Nationals.
Oh.
Nice.
We see Jen's kids are flexing in the camera and stuff. They get crazy. But Bob, I totally agree with you. I think it's also one of those things where, whether it's in the corral or you're in the warm-up area, and you see people creeping around like, that dude's as sore as I am, no doubt. Like there's no question that he's feeling yesterday's workout. I mean, it's funny. I'll bring this up because I've roomed with Clint. The past 3 years at the games, and like we would be like having breakfast, just being like, oh my God, I can't walk, I can't move. So I think that's another thing. That again, that's cool about the Masters community, Bob. I think you hit on it. You go in, one out. You don't have those, long type of conversations that you have when you're doing a 2-3 day competition.
Yeah, opportunity to go get breakfast or dinner together or whatever afterwards, right? That all exists with a multi-day competition, And so, again, to our 4 or 5 fans that are out there, definitely encourage them to go do multi-day comps, whether individual, team, whatever, right? At any level. It'll be a lot more.
I think too that somebody mentioned go ahead.
No. Go, Jen. Go. Ladies first.
I would say somebody mentioned the corral. And I think that's where a lot of the warm-up area, I think that's where a lot of the getting to know people comes into play too, or I remember, my first year, and there were certain women in my division, like you recognize the names, and then you're like, oh, that's what she looks like up close. And like, then the two-part psychology of it is like, oh God, she looks amazing. Like she looks so strong, whatever. Or the like, I could take her, like, yeah, I could do this. She's just a human, you kind of play around with that, individual thing. Like she's just a person just like me, or depending on, the mood or what have you. But I think that absolutely there's that time where you have the extra warm-up days or the extra corral days where you get to talk to people that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Mike, what were you going to say?
I forget what I was going to say, but then when Jen was talking, I was like, going to warn these ladies, don't let Jen psych you out in those corrals. She's all about the head game. So she's playing nice now.
Right.
Shannon, watch out. I know she's your division. So.
That's right.
I also think that when you see some of these people on, you see their name, and now you can go and FaceTime or Facebook them or Instagram and see who they are kind of in a sense. And you make up your own kind of, you make assumptions, I guess. Okay. That, hey, this guy's listening to like death metal and is, is going crazy in the gym and whatnot. And then you meet him and he's like the nicest guy in the world or the nicest girl in the world. You have this like idea that they're like this super tough guy, like Clint, Clint's a prime example,
I won't talk to anybody.
I know, obviously you haven't said a word tonight.
Well, and Clint stays off social media too, so we don't even get to see his highlight reel. But
which makes it even better.
He's more of a mystery, right? But
yeah,
to your point though, right? Like you can see who all these people are on social media. You see their highlight reel because that's really what you're seeing. Nobody ever puts any mislifts out there, right? And and then you get into the corral with them, or you get into the warm-up area, and it's like, oh yeah, this person, is just a normal person, right? Hey, Shannon, how old are you?
47.
Okay, so you would have graduated high school in 92? 91. Okay, so this is going to be weird. You and I went to high school together in Japan at the same time.
No way.
Yeah, so I went to high school at the American school.
Oh, ASIJ?
Yeah. Small world, right?
That is crazy.
Yeah, and I did a wrestling tournament down in Okinawa, but
That's cool.
obviously you weren't there at that
A
time. So.
video from your offshore CrossFit in 2014.
Wait, what's that?
I said I have a box jump fail video on my Instagram from your offshore CrossFit in 2014.
Oh, nice.
Oh, funny.
A week every summer when my kid was playing lacrosse.
Oh, nice. Yeah, your name was really familiar, and I just couldn't put two and two together.
Yeah,
But
coming for a week.
did you play sports at Yokota or no?
No. Well, okay, so I did gymnastics a little bit there, but the high school gymnastics was not like the gymnastics that I had done. And so I ended up just helping the team instead of competing.
Gotcha.
It just, they were people like from PE learning to do gymnastics, and I was coming out of an Olympic training program. And so it just didn't feel like the right thing to do.
Gotcha.
Shannon, I have a question for you. Your husband qualified for Legends too, right?
Yeah.
Like, is that like fun or is it annoying in a sense? I mean, is it kind of like you want his support instead of him like wanting to just go and like get ready to compete? Like, I got to warm up, honey. Clint, actually, Shannon, do you work out with your husband? Do you guys program and do workouts together?
No.
Okay,
I
good.
My husband is competing that weekend because that will keep him out of my hair.
Okay, cool. There you go.
No, my husband's awesome. He's super supportive. He came to the games when I was there. He always competes if he can. Like when we go to Granite Games or whatever, he, jumps on a team of 3 or whatever and competes, or, if he can't do that, he'll volunteer. But he's really a fit guy too. He's all the things I'm bad at, he's good at, and we probably would actually make a good team, but we cannot do that. We can run a household, we can raise children, co-parenting, no problem, but no, two chiefs in the gym.
Hey, Danya, you're speaking of husband, so your story is pretty interesting with how you met your husband. So you were doing like Broadway plays in Germany, right? Is that kind of the deal?
Yeah. So my professional career, I grew up in Canada and I grew up dancing and moved to Toronto when I was 18 and went to performing arts school. And I wanted to do musicals. And so I landed up auditioning for a German company in Toronto, and I got cast in 42nd Street, and I did it in Moscow, Russia for a couple months. And then the show closed, and then I had heard it was going to Germany. And so I reached out to the Broadway director and said I was interested, and went down to New York and auditioned and got the job. So in 2003, I moved from Toronto to Stuttgart, Germany, and performed in 42nd Street for a year and a half. And during that time, I met my husband there. So a friend of mine in the show was dating a friend of his. And then it was like this, group of young girls, dancers who performed on stage met the U.S. military. And it was just kind of history from there. And so, we dated there for like 3 years, and I went on to do Mamma Mia in Hamburg for another year and a half, and then quit and moved to Columbus, Georgia to be with my boyfriend. So, and then we got married and have been together, married for 13 years now with 2 kids. So that's how I came to this.
How many shows do you do in a year? What's that? Is it just weekends? I mean, how many shows do you actually do?
So you have 1 day off a week, and you do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, double Saturday, double Sunday. So you do 8 shows a week, and you get 1 day off.
So you can do that show right now, verbatim. You could just start kicking into it right now.
Pretty much,
All
yeah.
right.
I mean, it's kind of. I teach now, so I
Right.
teach tap and jazz, and I landed up teaching the choreography a lot to my students because you'll always find 42nd Street at some regional theater or revival on in the West End or whatever. So I still teach a lot of the choreography that I did for
Yeah.
so long.
Well, it's great. We have it all set up for you, Bob. Kick it off. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right.
So would
Yeah,
you
for sure.
say going from all that dancing to CrossFit, what was the biggest carryover, like from your body and performance wise, and what were the biggest challenges, or what are still the biggest challenges for you? You know, we all have a background in some kind of sport that leaves us great in something and usually opportunity to get better in something else.
Yeah, so I'd say I've been pretty lucky. I've been doing CrossFit for a long time and I've never had like a bad injury. And I think my flexibility from dancing for so long has really helped me with the longevity of being able to keep competing and not get hurt. So I would say I'm known as an engine. I like long, slow workouts, but when it comes to like a 400-meter sprint or like a heavy barbell, those are struggle buses for me. I'm 5'1", a buck 25. So, we get up to the 185s and the, 200, it's like a dream if I could clean that. Right. So that I think is probably the heavy weights are something that has always been a struggle for me. The gymnastics, I think I've become better at it the older I get, ironically. But I just have a really good sense of my body and how to move from dance, and so I think that's really helped me with CrossFit. So.
Do you think any of the stage performance it has helped you with, being able to manage your nerves or that?
Yeah. I mean, it was funny. I was talking to my daughter about this today, and she said, "Well, do you ever get nervous, before you go on the floor?" And I said, "Yeah, if I didn't get nervous, I'd be worried because that energy and those nerves are what kind of gets you hyped up. But being on the floor at regionals or at Wadapalooza or some of these Asia championships, it's like being back on stage. Like, I love it. I love it. I'm always the athlete in the corner hearing the music and dancing around and 3, 2, 1, go. And it's like doing a show again. And I think that's why I love competing so much, is because it does feel like a show, like you're performing and with the audience there and everything. It's just, yeah, it's exciting.
That's a great analogy because we all get nervous. And basically, if you put the training in, you just go out there and execute it, all right? Like, you get nervous when you walk on, but 42nd Street in your house, in your head, and you're just, your body just takes over. It's almost kind of like just an experience, all right? People are always like, I remember when I used to, play sports, my mom would be like, "Oh, did you hear me cheering out there? I was screaming." And I'm like, "No, I don't hear anything, because you're so kind of like in the zone there." Shannon, you mentioned something before, about early on when you were telling us your story. That and that was who is that?
It's one of my kids.
Oh, okay.
Dieter,
Come on, Dieter, lock it up over there, huh?
The puppy just rang the bell. She's got to go outside. I texted the boys. I said, somebody let her out. Now they're yelling at each other to decide whose turn it is to let her out. It's like, just,
But Shannon, you said you were like doing gymnastics and you decided that you wanted to be a kid again. Did you feel at a young age that people were like, "Hey, you're good, and we want you to do gymnastics"? Did you feel that pressure there where you just were like, "Hey, I just want to be a kid," because that's pretty interesting foresight to have.
No, it actually, it's something, it's strange. I had been training in Oregon, and, we had been, my mom and my sister and I had been away from my dad. My mom didn't want to send me away to the training program, so she went with me. And my dad was Air Force, and he was, 1 year here, 1 year there. And it was hard on the family. So when he got stationed in Arizona, we went there. and they had a gym that I could train in. And so that's where I went. And within about a year and a half of being there, I'm going to say, they were making this movie, and they came to our gym and said, we need gymnasts to be extras in this movie. And our coach let us go. And I spent 2 weeks on a movie set, not training hard, not living and breathing gymnastics, eating whatever I wanted, just getting to be a kid. And I hadn't experienced that before. And so when we went back in the gym, I was like, this just isn't fun anymore. And I told my parents, I said, I want to take a break. I want to quit. And I didn't think they were going to let me. And they just said, okay. And I just didn't go back. I wish I would have had something, everybody says that. I wish I would have had CrossFit when I was a kid. I could have just shown up with some friends 3 days a week and, did some fitness and, had something to do that would have been, good and healthy for me. But I just was done.
Yeah. I mean, it's always interesting. You talk to young athletes, and sometimes they get. I mean, I coach some of them, and I can feel the fact that their parents have pressure on them for to be better, to give themselves an opportunity to get a scholarship, because the parents not at their fault. They want what's best for their kid, and everybody has a different situation. But I was just kind of wondering if you just felt like they were pushing, not that they were pushing, but that maybe you just didn't want to do the commitment anymore. You wanted to be a kid and be able to eat and not have to always go to practice. And I mean, because I don't care, it's a commitment at all levels, like Little League soccer, or Little League, whatever it is, I mean, those kids practice 3-4 times a week. They got games, I mean, it takes up a lot of time,
Yeah. It was serious training. I didn't go for 3.5 years. I didn't go to school all day. I went to school half the day. I took my core classes and then I left, and I'm making up for it now. I've been in the 7th grade now for since 1996. You're in my classroom right now, by the way.
So are you doing all virtual classes then right now? And where are you? What state are you in?
In Nevada.
Oh, you're in Nevada. Okay. All right. Vegas, baby. Nice. Now you're in Virginia, right, Danya?
Yeah, Northern Virginia, just kind of outside DC.
Yeah. So you mentioned 12 laborers before. Are they close to you?
They're up in Maryland. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
they're not that far away, about 45 minutes or an hour.
Yeah, that's Luke S. He runs a great gym up there.
Yeah, and he does the MAC sanctional.
Yeah.
He's been doing that. And they used to do, before sanctional started, they would always do, it was the Mid-Atlantic.
Mid-Atlantic, yeah. Yep,
So
I
I
remember
would
that.
do that with them. And they were the ones that started the Hopper way back in 2008 or 9, I guess. So
Right.
they've been doing a lot of really great things in this area for a long time.
Are you a Washington football fan? You like football at all? No.
I'm a Winnipeg Blue Bomber fan.
Okay, there you go. All right, cool. My Cowboys are horrible, but that's about it. Clint reminded me this morning about how poor they are.
They got beat by the Browns.
Yeah, well, maybe the Browns aren't so bad. No, but they can't stop anybody. It's embarrassing. Kern, you got anything to say? What's going on over there?
No, I was just curious. I mean, congrats, both of you ladies, on winning the qualifier. Just going into it, like any expectations? Like, were you surprised? I mean, I know, Bob, I love the blind leaderboard. I don't know if you guys liked it, if that gave anxiety, how many times you redid stuff, just like thoughts going into it. And obviously when the outcome came out, just curious, also, I guess since 20.2, what was 20.2 that you both, I'll say air quotes, struggled with, but
The 195 hang squat clean, or what was it, 195?
that was the squat clean one.
Yeah.
Okay. Couldn't remember the workout. All right.
Yeah. Well, I love the blind leaderboard. I thought that was awesome because, you kind of went into it going, you know, if you give your best or not, but it's always hard when you look at the leaderboard and you're like, man, I could get one more rep, you know, and that would, you start gaming it and then you land up just killing yourself for a rep or two. And so I think I went into one, I loved all the workouts. They were all pretty good workouts for me personally. So I was excited about all of them. I didn't really like, you know, the 50-pound snatch, dumbbell snatch was a little rough. But I kind of went into each workout, and if I felt like I gave it my all, I kind of left it. And if there was ones that I felt, you know, I think I could do better, I think I only redid, well, I redid the handstand walk one because I didn't count properly the amount of times I had to handstand walk. I screwed that up. So I had to redo that one. And I redid the row dumbbell one because I felt like after doing it, I kind of knew how it felt. And I thought, I think I can do better. But those are the only two I redid.
Shannon, what about you? How'd it go? I obviously went great, but.
I love the blind leaderboard. I used to wish for that in the open back in the day, but especially because I've worked. So when I see everybody's scores on Monday, I'm like, I can't redo any of these workouts. You know, I have to just be good with whatever I did on Friday or Saturday. But no, I really liked it. The workouts were so fun. And, you know, they weren't all in my wheelhouse, but they were all really, I think, good tests, you know, not any just one thing. And that heavy barbell, I can move it, but not quickly. So that was my point two, more difficult workout. And I redid, I think most of them. One or two of them I did not redo. But that's something I've been working on with my coach. I've never really been a good qualifier athlete, online competitor. And so, like I told you earlier, I've been the queen of the second round, third round invites. And so I wanted to get better at it because in this, you know, COVID times, probably competing online is something you're going to need to be able to do, especially if you want to compete in person. So I honestly, I opened up the leaderboard and I was looking down and I'm like, why am I not here? And then I scrolled back up and I saw myself at the top and I was literally like, there has to be a mistake. And then funny story, there was a mistake, but Bob fixed it for me and I still was on top. So
Nice.
Yeah, Shannon actually beat out by 1 point, friend of the show, Carol Meason. So those two were going head to head and she beat her by 1 point. So
wow.
Competing in a live competition that week. Wasn't she doing a competition? Didn't she compete in the
She did Masters Fitness Collective. Yeah. She did most of the workouts before she left, so you can give yourself credit still.
Let's talk about some of those changes that Bob implemented. Number one, you guys said you love the blind leaderboard. Okay, I think that's a no-brainer. What did you think about having a month to do all the workouts? You know, like, and what's the strategy there? You know, Shannon, go ahead.
So I just left it all up to my coach. That's what I pay him for. He makes the decisions because I would like it that way. So having the month was probably good because then he kept me working on things in between, you know, an effort to do the workouts, the competition workouts. So it was nice. It was nice not to be stressed or have to put my family out or feel like I was, you know, if I wanted to focus on getting it done, I had to, you know, sacrifice everything else. I was able to just go in on a training day and get it done.
What about you, Danya?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of did. I left it up to my coach. I'm not always the best listener sometimes. I like to just get after it and do it. So there was a lot of times where he had to kind of tell me, you have 3 weeks, almost 4. Like, you don't have to do them all today. And I'm just not used to that as a qualifier, because normally you get 2 workouts one weekend, 2 workouts the next weekend, you know, like Wadapalooza or Granite Games or the Open, which it's 1 workout over the 5 weeks, but it has to be done by this time and submitted by this date. So it was cool to kind of have a totally different qualifying competitive challenge where you had all the workouts in front of you and you could kind of pick and choose what you wanted to do first, you know, what you might want to repeat. And like Shannon, I've gotten to the point too where I want to do my qualifier workouts like I would do a competition, like one and done, you know, balls to the wall the first time, because that just, again, to me helps my training to be better when I'm on the floor, because you don't get a second chance. You know, what happens. And so that's kind of the mentality I had. I did one week, maybe 2, 1 week, you know, did the double under toes to bar 1 and something else, because that wasn't too taxing, you know. So I liked it. I thought it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, for me, one thing I'd like to even expand on it. I actually like how Games did their qualifier, where they gave you X amount of hour window to do the workout, and you do it. Now, I mean, like, they had a couple of hours to fool around with the handstand. They probably did that free handstand 10 times, I would imagine, in that box. The 1RMs probably, they probably had a period where they might have worked up to a heavy single and said, hey, I feel good, let's go for it, you know? All right, you know, so, but once it's over, you know? Like, I mean, there's not a time I haven't walked off the competitive floor and been like, oh shit, I should have did 10s, you know? Like, what was I thinking, you know? All right, like, to me, it's not a competition when you get, I mean, listen, I get it, it's within the rules, okay, all right? I'm going to go out there and do 2 rounds just to see how it feels, you know, and I'm going to take 2 days off, and 2 days later, I'm going to do it again, you know, like, no, part of it is the pressure. Part of it is knowing you only have a certain amount of time to do it. Okay. So, I mean, I'd like to see that move to the qualifier, you know, like, say, hey, listen, you got to do this workout by Wednesday. So they dictate how you break it up. Okay. All right. You can't say, oh, I'm going to do workout 6 on Monday and this workout. No, you do this workout on this day, you post your score. Okay. Yeah. I think that would add a totally different element to it. And Bob, I see you shaking your head because you usually agree with all my decisions like this.
Yeah, man.
Tell me how great of an idea that is, please.
I think it's a fantastic idea. You know, in a non-COVID world, right? Because I think that's the challenge that, you know, everyone has to deal with right now. I mean, the biggest thing that we thought about when we were putting together the programming and the whole, you know, you have a month to do it, was like, shit, half these people can't even get into their gym. See you, Karen. Good luck with your soccer game, man. Whatever.
Mike's on the move.
You're doing.
He's in like a log cabin.
Yeah, I gotta run. I'll see you.
What are you in a log cabin?
You know what? We should live stream the soccer game, man. Like, we should just keep this thing going.
I can only imagine.
Current play soccer would be gold.
I didn't get that chance to ask him if he was on the Shirts or Skins team.
I like the whole. I really loved the way they did. You know, the way they did Rogue, the way they did the first round of the games. You know, what they tried to do with that that thing that you and I, Justin, did for like a day.
TFC. I know what you're talking about.
That thing, you know, where there's so much more structure put around it, like
TMC.
Yeah, like you have this time window to do the workouts, and you know you got to stay in this box, and like the camera angle needs to be this, right? I mean, we put all that out as suggestions, because of COVID, right? Like, hey, here's a suggested camera angle, and you know, after having watched,
it helps you guys.
Yeah, like, you know, 100 hours of videos, right? I can tell you the people that abided by the suggested camera angle they definitely had fewer no reps, right? I mean, you know, not only because we could see their movement better, but also because it was like, thanks for not turning your camera sideways and totally ignoring what we asked you to do, right? But
one thing, well, one thing with, I see the point of making it more concise and, having deadlines and all that. But on the flip side, I just did that weightlifting thing, Masters Nationals, and we had a whole month to do 2 lifts, right? And I did it, I think I lifted 5 times in the month. And I wound up going with my first one. So there's something to be said for like that, first time adrenaline versus like, oh man, I got to do it again, that like dread. So it's not always better having more time, I think. Like by my last time that I tried it, I was just like, ugh, I actually didn't even clean and jerk. I snatched and then I was like, I'm done. It's not worth it. So I think that, it sounds really good on paper when you're like, oh, I have a whole month to do this, or I have 10 days or whatever, but it's also a little bit psychologically draining to have that much time too. So I don't think it's, I don't think it's easier on the athletes necessarily.
No, I think they've done a better job with AGOQ the last couple of years too, by adding more workouts, right? Like what did we have this year? 6 scores?
6.
Yeah,
I think we had 6 the year before too. Or
yeah.
So we did? One year we only had 4.
No, we had the lift.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't really, you can't do them all multiple times. You have to sit there and choose like, all right, these 4 I can only do once, this one, maybe I do it twice, this other one, maybe I do it twice too. But it creates a little bit more of that true competitive atmosphere as opposed to, a month to get your best score.
And Bob, to use a workout, all right, that you did as an example, okay? Like another thing it does, now you were under a totally different situation because the workout was announced, but your attack plan on the row, wall ball, muscle up, okay? Yeah. Again, in the back of your mind, you're like, hey, if I have to do it again, I'm going to do it again. And obviously you did do it again with a significant, difference. It just adds pressure, I think. Like, hey, how do I add the reps up? Because what did you shave off time-wise?
Like 4 minutes, man.
4 minutes, just because, you had a chance to, you did it, but you had a chance to sit back and then every competition people out there, this is how you got to do it. 4, 8, 6. This is how you got to do it. 10 rounds, do this, and it'll be fine. Yeah. Less transitions and row, But if you don't have it thought out, you can make a mistake like that costs you. So that's why I think there's I don't know. I think it's more of a competition that way instead of people just gaming it every second of it, moving the rower and staging things, because, all that stuff helps. I get it. But when you go to the games, they make you, or granite games, you have to move the chess piece forward, or you have to, do something like that. People are like, oh, I did your workout at the games. I beat you by like 30 seconds. And I'm like, well, fuck you, dude. It's like my 4th workout on day 4. I got to move this chess piece every, 10 reps, So, yeah, I think it makes a huge difference. But
yeah, I tested 2 of the Legends workouts this past week, and I set it up like it was, like I would be on the floor, right? Like I had to move through the actual workout. I didn't have all my equipment nice and tightly packed, right? And so it was cool. It was actually 3 of the workouts I tested.
What were they, Bob?
They were fun.
Come on, you don't want to let the girls know, little inside information. They did take first place.
I know.
I like the clues that you leave, though. The clues are good.
Yeah.
Keep the clues coming.
Yeah. Well, I threw out some heart rate monitor stuff there. You guys can gather some information from that. But and then we had Joe's daughter running a sprint the other day.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's
Yeah.
clues to be gathered from that one, but yeah.
Well, we like to keep it to an hour usually, and it's right around an hour. So Clint's got to get to sleep, even though he hasn't spoke at all. But that's pretty much, he's like our Kenny, if you ever watch South Park. But yeah, girls, I plan on being there. I know Jen plans on being there as well. And Mike will be there too, as well, who was on here. Benji can't get off of work just yet, but he's still trying. So yeah, so if you see us there, you obviously Bob, but you probably don't know me and Jen. Come on by, say hello, and we'll watch you throw down in Arizona.
That's right.
Awesome. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Yes, appreciate it.
Thanks for coming
All
on,
right,
ladies.
guys.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
Yeah, no problem.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Did I stop the recording yet or no?
You can stop it now.